There are stories in college football that shout. Stories built on flash, celebrity, and the instant gratification of viral moments. But then there are the stories that rise slowly, built layer by layer, brick by brick, forged not by noise but by depth, discipline, and an unwavering sense of direction. Curt Cignetti's story belongs to that second category, the kind of journey that doesn't require a spotlight to be compelling because its substance alone is enough to illuminate everything. It is the story of a coach who came from a football family but never leaned on lineage. A coach who studied, listened, worked, and refined until he turned lessons into mastery. It is the story of a man who believed that greatness wasn't found through shortcuts, but through conviction, honesty, accountability, and a relentless expectation of excellence. The truth about Curt Cignetti is simple. Everywhere he has gone, he has built a standard. And everywhere that standard has been adopted, winning has followed. Before he became one of the most respected turnaround specialists in college football, before multiple programs learned what it meant to operate under the Cignetti blueprint, Curt was a young coach absorbing the game from angles most never notice. Growing up in a home shaped by the influence of his father, Frank Senetti Sr., a college football Hall of Famer, Curt had access not simply to football knowledge but to football values. He learned early that coaching was less about drawing plays and more about shaping principles, about teaching young men to trust in systems, trust in themselves, and trust in each other. But rather than racing toward prestige, Curt took the long road. He chose to earn every step. His early years as an assistant were quiet grind years, watching film, studying tendencies, evaluating talent, and sharpening the instincts that would one day define him. Instead of seeking a title, he sought expertise. Instead of chasing fame, he chased understanding. That foundation would prove essential for everything that followed. When he eventually stepped into roles under some of the most successful coaches in the country, names like Nick Saban, Curt absorbed the ruthless attention to detail that separates the good from the elite. But what made him different was his ability to understand systems, not just schematically, but emotionally. He knew how players responded. He knew when to push and when to pull. He knew how to build belief. He knew how to turn a room full of individuals into a unified, efficient engine. By the time he left those staffs to step into his own head coaching career, he wasn't simply prepared. He was over-prepared. He walked into each new opportunity not with arrogance, but with clarity. He knew exactly what he wanted the identity of his teams to be: disciplined, physical, organized, unshakable, and confident without being comfortable. His head coaching journey officially took flight at IUP, and from the moment he arrived, the transformation began. Programs do not shift simply because a coach walks through the door, but they do shift when the coach carries a presence that demands commitment and consistency. Cignetti brought that presence. He elevated expectations, refined preparation habits, and injected a culture where details mattered again. Practices had sharper intent. Meetings had deeper purpose. Games were no longer approached with hope, but with preparation. And in true Cignetti fashion, the results followed. Wins came not as surprises, but as validation of the process. IUP didn't just improve. They evolved into something sharper, tougher, more complete. That became the pattern of his career. Build, elevate, win, leave the program better than he found it. Repeat. When he took the job at Elon, at a time when the program was desperate for a reset, many wondered whether any coach could realistically deliver quick improvement. The answer came swiftly. Cignetti didn't inherit a powerhouse. He inherited a challenge. Yet within a single season, everything looked different. Elon became a team that believed again, competed again, and fought with purpose again. The team's physicality shifted. Their confidence elevated. Their execution tightened. And once more, the wins came. What made the Elon chapter remarkable wasn't the turnaround itself. It was the speed of it. Most coaches preach patience. Most ask for time. Curt Cignetti simply went to work and let the results serve as his voice. What he accomplished there proved that his coaching approach wasn't theoretical. It was transferable, repeatable, and undeniably real. But it was his arrival at James Madison University that transformed Curt Cignetti from a respected program builder into a national name. Someone whose ability to lead, strategize, and elevate became impossible to ignore. JMU was already strong before he arrived. But excellence is not a plateau. Excellence requires maintenance, innovation, and constant recalibration. He didn't just maintain the success, he redefined it. Under Cignetti, JMU became a force, disciplined, physical, confident, balanced, and ruthlessly prepared. Every week, every season, they played like a team that trusted its vision because its coach had earned that trust. When the university made the historic transition to the FBS, many outsiders expected growing pains. They expected a learning curve. They expected the Dukes to struggle with the jump in speed, depth, and complexity. But Curt Cignetti is not built for excuses. He is built for execution. Instead of stepping cautiously into the new era, JMU burst through the door fully formed, fully ready, and fully committed to proving that the program's identity translated at any level. And it did, stunningly so. The Dukes became the story of college football, a new FBS team not playing like a newcomer, but like a contender. Their success wasn't an accident. It was the product of supreme preparation, excellent roster management, sharp recruiting evaluations, and a blueprint that transferred seamlessly across divisions. It wasn't just that JMU won, it was how they won. With toughness, with discipline, with composure, with intelligence. Every trait reflected their head coach. That chapter alone would have been enough to define most coaching careers. But Cignetti's journey was far from finished. When Indiana came calling, it wasn't simply because they needed a new coach. It was because they needed a new culture. They needed someone with the rare ability to change habits, expectations, and standards from the inside out. They needed someone who didn't scare easily. Someone who didn't get overwhelmed by challenges. Someone who could walk into a room full of athletes, administrators, boosters, and fans and say, not with bravado, but with conviction, we are going to do things differently, and we are going to win. Curt Cignetti was that someone. Indiana knew exactly what it was pursuing: a builder, a leader, a teacher, a coach whose fingerprints become unmistakable wherever he works. And Cignetti embraced the opportunity with the same focus that defined every step of his career. He immediately began reshaping the foundation: recruiting, staff structure, culture, strength programs, communication standards, practice tempo. Nothing was too small for improvement, and nothing was too big to confront. His presence brought something Indiana desperately needed: belief rooted in reality. Not hype, not empty promises. Actual belief in a system that has proven itself everywhere it has been implemented. If the past is any indication, Curt Cignetti's impact at Indiana will not be subtle. It will not be quiet. It will not be slow. His teams do not inch forward, they jump. His programs do not wander, they accelerate. His staffs do not hope, they prepare. And his players do not question his vision. They follow it, because it works, because it is honest, and because it holds them to a standard that makes them better athletes, better students, and better people. The heart of his coaching success is not complicated, but it is rare. Curt Cignetti understands human nature. He knows that teams reflect their leadership. If the coach is focused, the team becomes focused. If the coach is deliberate, the team becomes deliberate. If the coach is confident, the team becomes confident. But most importantly, if the coach refuses to settle, the team refuses to settle. Cignetti builds habits. He builds belief. He builds accountability. And then he builds winners. His players often describe him as intense but fair, demanding but logical, firm but approachable. They know that he will challenge them, correct them, push them, and expect excellence every day, not because he is chasing perfection, but because he is chasing consistency. He instills the idea that success is not an event, it is a process. And that process requires discipline not only when the lights shine, but when nobody is watching. It requires attention to detail, responsibility, emotional toughness, and the humility to learn continuously. Under his coaching, players discover that the ceiling is always higher than they thought, and that becoming great is a choice made daily. Cignetti's teams have a signature identity: well-coached, physical, organized, prepared, and unwilling to beat themselves. They play with a confidence that comes from preparation, not arrogance. They communicate with clarity. They execute with precision. They fight with purpose. They adjust with intelligence. And above all, they trust the structure around them. Because when the culture is built correctly, trust becomes instinctive. What makes Curt Cignetti's legacy especially compelling is that he does not operate like a man auditioning for the next job. He operates like a man building the job he is in. His commitment is always present. His passion is always visible. His belief in his players is always genuine. He coaches for the love of the challenge, the thrill of the build, the satisfaction of growth, and the impact of leadership. Wins matter. Of course, they always do. But the foundation behind the wins matters more, because when the foundation is solid, wins become sustainable. And sustainable success is what separates eras from moments. In a sport increasingly influenced by chaos, transfers, realignment, shifting priorities, Curt Cignetti has remained a model of steadiness. His principles have outlasted the noise. His methods have outperformed trends. His standards have remained clear. And that clarity is precisely why he succeeds. He does not chase what is popular. He masters what is effective. And while other programs scramble to imitate whatever is fashionable that season, Cignetti keeps building programs that last. His story is still being written, and if history is any indication, the chapters ahead will be bold. Indiana football is already beginning to feel the early shifts, the intensity, the focus, the urgency, the accountability. The players are adapting. The staff is aligning. The expectations are rising. The environment is transforming. It won't be long before results follow, because results always follow Curt Cignetti. They follow him not because he promises them, but because he prepares for them with an almost unmatched obsession for detail and excellence. And so, when we talk about Curt Cignetti, we are talking about a coach who has spent his entire career mastering the art of elevation. A coach who believes in the power of culture, structure, discipline, intelligence, and unity. A coach who expects greatness not through intimidation, but through clarity. A coach whose legacy will always be defined by the programs he rebuilt, the athletes he developed, and the standards he set. His journey is a testament to what happens when purpose meets preparation, when confidence meets competence, and when leadership meets opportunity. Curt Cignetti is not just a coach who wins games. He is a coach who transforms programs. He is a coach who leaves places stronger than he found them. He is a coach whose impact resonates long after he moves on. He is a builder in the purest sense, and wherever he goes, success follows, sharper, smarter, more disciplined, and more sustainable than before. And as his new chapter continues to unfold, one thing is certain. Curt Cignetti will keep climbing, keep elevating, keep demanding, and keep leading. Because that is who he is. That is what he does. And that is why his story, slow building, methodical, powerful, and undeniable, will be remembered as one of the most impressive coaching trajectories of the modern era.